As the top agent for an A-list actress, I took the money she gave me and used it to simp for her biggest frenemy. The whole thing blew up online. That night, the usually composed actress stormed my front door before she even had a chance to change. "How far have you two gone?" she demanded. "Damn it, what is it you see in her? Whatever it is, I can learn to be that, can't I?" I stared at the actress in her god-awful pajamas, then glanced at the paparazzi frozen in shock behind her. I swallowed hard. I'm in her 36. Before I could finish, the actress was already tugging at the straps of her nightgown. Her eyes were rimmed with red, her voice trembling. "It's not like you haven't seen mine. Just look. What the hell?" I was talking about the 36 gigs of industry gossip she has. I single-handedly launched the career of A-list actress Diana Hayes, becoming one of the most sought-after agents in Hollywood. To the public, I was mysterious and aloof. But behind the scenes, I had willingly spent 3 years as the reigning king of Sims for Scarlett Vance, a D-list girl group trainee. "He's a rich idiot who does whatever she wants," was how her fans described me. She treated me like I was at her beck and call. While she was up late discussing scripts with some hot young actor, I was the one running to a 24-hour pharmacy to bring her medicine. Both she and her fans thought I was hopelessly in love with her. But no one knew she was just a pawn for me to complete mission. 3 years ago, a car accident put me in a vegetative state. That's when I was bound to a system. If I could turn Scarlett Vance into a superstar, I would be freed from my comatose fate. Not only that, but I'd also get a $10 billion reward from the system, making my dream of being filthy rich a reality. I worked harder on her career than she ever did. While she was getting cozy with directors, I was drinking with studio execs until I developed a bleeding ulcer, all to secure opportunities for her. I practically begged on my knees to get her a certain role, only for her to throw a tantrum on set and walk out. For 3 whole years, she took everything I handed her for granted, and, slowly, she started to get famous. Now, all she had to do was walk the red carpet in 2 weeks and accept her Golden Globe. Then I'd finally be free of this idiot. I was so close to the finish line. But of course, she had to pick a fight with A-lister Diana Hayes over some D-list male model. I scowled at my phone, where the headlines have been trending for the last 30 minutes. Hashtag Pop Starlet defends male model. Throws drink on A-lister Diana Hayes hashtag. Hashtag waiting for Scarlett Vance's groveling apology before the Golden Globes hashtag. Before I could even call Scarlett to chew her out, she called me. "Frank, honey, you just have to help me one more time," she whined. "It's fine if my career is ruined, but that means your 3 years of hard work will all go down the drain." After 3 years, she was completely used to me cleaning up her messes. Even now, she had no idea how serious this was. Her tone was completely casual. My anger boiled over, and I yelled into the phone. "Do you have any idea who you just pissed off? Please, she's just some washed-up actress. What's so scary about an old woman?" she scoffed. "Besides, you're loaded, Frank. Just throw some money at the problem, and it'll go away." I was the one who built Diana's career. I knew better than anyone the network and resources she commanded. Scarlett's fans might be teenagers, but Diana's fans were CEOs. If Diana wanted, she could have Scarlett completely blacklisted from the industry. But this moron Scarlett actually thought Diana had faded from the spotlight because she was washed up. I was silent for a moment. "System," I thought, "can you install a one-click button to report crime?" Continuing to manage this idiot was going to give me an aneurysm. But my life was on the line, and so were $10 billion. I was cursing her out under my breath, but the second Diana started her live stream, I immediately topped up my account and jumped in. When I snuck into Diana's live stream on a burner account, her fans were furious. The chat was flying by, and every single comment was trashing Scarlett for disrespecting an industry veteran. It made my skin crawl, and I silently cursed Scarlett and her entire family tree. But I hadn't forgotten my mission. My fingers flew across the screen as I sent 100 virtual galaxies to Diana's stream. "Queen Diana," I typed, "I'm Scarlett's biggest fan. She's just young and impulsive. She didn't mean to offend you. I'm here to apologize on her behalf." After the gifs went through, the chaotic chat feed fell silent. Knowing Diana, she probably didn't even care about some wannabe like Scarlett trying to stir up drama for clout. My apology was just a way to show respect and let her fans feel vindicated, and then the whole thing would blow over. But why was her expression getting darker? Then, the screen filled with comments just saying RIP. I was about to type another apology when a terrible feeling washed over me. I glanced at the corner of the screen and saw the big, flashing moderator badge next to my username. My jaw nearly hit the floor. Crap, I was logged into the wrong account. I had seriously screwed up. The quiet chat exploded back to life. Wait, isn't that our queen's personal super agent? Did that snake Scarlett Vance rob her house or something? Holy crap, This is insane. The A-lister's top agent has been secretly simping for her rival for 3 years? That's basically like cheating on her. The comments scrolled by furiously, and Diana's expression grew stormier by the second. Even through the screen and all the flashy gift animations, I could feel the icy aura coming off her. "You're my agent," she said, her voice dangerously low, "and you're using my money to apologize for another woman?" A chill ran down my spine. It wasn't just Scarlett who was finished this time. I was too. Boss, can I explain?" I typed frantically, but a notification popped up. The live stream has ended. Half an hour later, Diana showed up at my house, her face a thundercloud. She just stood there in my doorway under the dim porch light. Her gorgeous eyes were glistening with unshed tears. Her long dark hair was down, and she was wearing a white silk nightgown. Words like ethereal or vulnerable beauty couldn't even begin to describe her. She really was an A-list actress through and through. If she appeared in public looking like that, men of all ages and walks of life would drop to one knee in submission. Luckily, I have decent self-control. After a moment of shock, I smacked my dog, Buddy, who was wagging his tail and fawning all over her. "Hey, you dumb mutt. Stop staring." Thank God it was just my dog. If her fans saw her dressed like this, they'd lose their minds. As her agent, I was about to say something, but she cut me off. "When did it start between you two? How far have you gone?" she pressed. No wonder you've been taking so much time off lately. Do you have any respect for me as your boss? I'm telling you right now, your vacation is officially over." I was speechless. "Why aren't you saying anything?" she continued. "Were you planning on leaving me all along? Does she pay you more? Is she prettier than me? Did she offer you a better 401k and health plan?" Diana's rapid-fire questions didn't give me a chance to get a word in. "Don't think this is going to get you a raise," she declared. "Although I guess I could raise it a little." "Fine. If that's what it takes, you could just have my debit card." Diana's eyes were red, and her voice held a note of barely concealed hurt. Even an idiot could have figured out how she felt. But my mission wasn't complete. I could fall back into a coma at any moment. I couldn't let her get her hopes up just to be disappointed. I kept my head down, not daring to meet her gaze. To Diana, however, my silence meant something else entirely. "Say something. Explain yourself. Am I not better than her? You said you like girls who were in shape, so I worked my ass off to get these abs. You've never even touched them, and now you're in love with someone else?" When I still didn't respond, her voice cracked. "You jerk. Open your eyes and look at me." I squeezed my eyes shut even tighter. "My God, woman, what are you wearing? How am I supposed to look at you?" At the same time, flashes of our years together played through my mind. Once, when another celebrity had a scandal, I casually remarked, "An actress who doesn't respect herself has no longevity, and she hasn't taken a role with a kissing scene since." I mentioned I liked athletic women, so she started living at the gym. She was slowly, painstakingly trying to become my ideal woman. But she didn't know it was all a calculated plan. I became her agent because I had a crush on her. I said I liked athletic women because I didn't want her to diet so strictly for her roles. In fact, 3 years ago, right before my accident, I had been about to tell her how I felt. While I was lost in thought, Diana pinned me against the wall, her eyes red. "Frank Miller, just tell me what you like about her." "Whatever it is, I can learn." I wanted to answer, I really did, but could you first explain the swarm of paparazzi standing right behind you? Seeing the pack of photographers frozen in shock behind her, my heart leaped into my throat. I swallowed hard and managed to say, "I'm into her 36. Before I could finish the sentence, she was already tugging at her straps. "It's not like you haven't seen mine. Just look. What the hell?" So much for the poised and distant A-list goddess. What are you even saying? This is insane. But the camera flashes were already going off behind her, and it was too late to do anything. This time I was truly finished. The story of Diana confessing to me and getting rejected immediately went viral. Hashtag #SuperAgentXDianaHayes hashtag. Hashtag lovesick actress gets her heart broken hashtag. The comments under the hashtags were all over the place. There were the shippers. OMG, it's finally happening. The top agent and the A-list star are a match made in heaven. To those comments, Diana would personally reply, "Thanks, I'll be sure to send you an invitation to the wedding." Then there were the nasty comments from rivals and haters. Just as I thought, a washed-up actress trying to stay relevant. LOL, she's a public figure and has zero shame. You really think you can steal our queen's man? Get some talent before you pull stunts like this. That agent is our baby Scarlett's simp. She's going to be a huge star. So you washed-up old actresses should just get out of her way. Yep. The fans were just as charming as their idol. Because Diana hadn't done many talk shows in recent years, she wasn't constantly in the headlines, but her influence in Hollywood was undeniable. When Diana was collecting Golden Globes, Scarlett was probably still a nobody. But Scarlett and her fan base were so arrogant, they didn't give Diana a second thought. Which is why everyone was stunned when Diana herself started replying, getting into epic flame wars with the trolls. That night, she was so worried that not replying would look like she was backing down that she took her phone with her even to the bathroom. By the end of it, she had argued her biggest hater into setting their account to private. Diana became a legend overnight, earning new nicknames like Hollywood's Wrecking Ball and the Queen of Clapbacks. The haters went quiet, but now a lot more casual observers were getting curious. A random user commented, "So Diana, who won the comparison?" Diana replied, smug_face.jpg, "You can question my acting skills, but you can't question my physical qualifications." Then she tagged me, "At Frank Miller, they're asking you." Diana was puffed up with pride, determined to win this ridiculous competition against Scarlett. Then someone commented, "Ha, what good is a 36? Your agent of 10 years still left you for someone else." That was a low blow. The comment completely shut her down. Because of all this drama, fewer people were paying attention to the original incident with Scarlett. I figured I could just lay low until after the awards ceremony in 2 weeks. Then I could finally dump Scarlett. But then, the problem herself showed up at my door. "Why did you hide the fact that you're Diana Hayes' agent?" she demanded. "You're a super agent with access to so many resources. Couldn't you have just asked Diana to throw a few my way?" The second she walked in, Scarlett tossed her designer bag at me and flopped onto my couch. She looked at me like I was her servant and immediately started interrogating me. I couldn't help but roll my eyes while I complained to the system internally. "Is this really your selection standard? You think any piece of trash can become a superstar? I have access to great projects, but does this moron have the talent to handle them? She's just a pretty face with no skill and no brain." The studios aren't stupid. They're not going to invest everything in a flash-in-the-pan influencer who could be irrelevant tomorrow. But complaining was one thing. Until the mission was over, I still had to handle Scarlett with kid gloves. "I wasn't trying to hide it from you," I said placatingly. "Besides, haven't I gotten you every opportunity you could possibly want these past few years?" She conveniently forgot about all the trouble she'd caused, which was common knowledge in the industry. Her pretty face was the only thing keeping her fans loyal. If I had revealed my connection to her earlier, my reputation as a top agent would have been ruined. But clearly, Scarlett had no self-awareness. She muttered under her breath, "The project you get me are nothing compared to what Diana gets. For 3 years, you've been telling me how much you care about my career, but in the end, you've been saving all the best project for Diana, haven't you?" That did it. My fists clenched. To complete the system's mission, I had worked my ass off for 3 years. The opportunities one got for Scarlett were just as good as Diana's, and I'd even spent tens of millions of my own money on her. And in the end, not only was she not grateful, she actually thought I wasn't doing enough. At that thought, my voice turned cold. "Just tell me what you want." Hearing that, Scarlett's face broke into a smile. "I knew you were the best, Frank. I don't want much," she said. "I just want the lead role in that new movie Diana is supposed to do, Chronicles of Alicia." Just when I thought Scarlett couldn't sink any lower, she managed to surprise me. I'd heard of the movie she was talking about. It was an adaptation of a hugely popular book series, with an all-star team from the writers to the director. The consensus in Hollywood was that anyone in that movie, lead, or supporting, was guaranteed to become a star. But from what I knew, the project was a disaster waiting to happen. Not that it mattered to me. Filming wouldn't start until after Scarlett's awards ceremony anyway. If she wanted it, it would be a good way to help Diana dodge a bullet. But the thought of Diana made my head ache. Have you forgotten you just publicly humiliated Diana? You really think she's going to willingly hand over a role to you? Scarlett just shrugged. She's in love with you, isn't she? If you go and ask her, getting the role should be a piece of cake. She said it so casually, clearly convinced she had me completely under her thumb. When I didn't answer, she seemed to realize she'd gone too far. "Don't get me wrong, Frank," she said, softening her tone. "I'm thinking about our future. You're a top agent. I need to have some impressive work on my resume, right? I just don't want to let you down." Because of the mission, I had given in to her demands for 3 years. Scarlett assumed I was genuinely into her, so whenever I hesitated, she'd dangle the promise of a future together to get what she wanted. I stared into her eyes for a long moment, then finally forced a smile. "All right, I'll take care of it." After all, she was the monster I had created. Once my mission was complete, it was only right that I'd be the one to destroy her. After finally getting Scarlett to leave, I took a cab straight to Diana's house. The moment I stepped inside, she grabbed my hand. Before I could even process what was happening, she had thrown herself into my arms. Her familiar scent filled my senses, and the warmth of her body against mine slowly chipped away at my composure. It was Diana. Her voice was hoarse and laced with hurt. "So you finally remembered I exist? What were you two doing last night?" she murmured into my chest. "If you really can't let her go, maybe you could just let me join you?" My eyes widened in shock. "Do you hear the crazy things you're saying?" Looking at this heartbroken woman in front of me, I couldn't help but feel a pang of guilt. But the damn mission wasn't finished. I couldn't be selfish and give her hope only to crush it later. I forced myself to gently push her away. At that, Diana's expression fell. Her deep eyes stared right through me, filled with a sadness she couldn't hide. "If you can't let her go, then why are you here?" Her intense gaze made my skin crawl, but I steeled myself and quietly explained why I'd come. Diana was stunned, and her voice shot up several octaves. "Frank Miller, are you insane?" she shrieked. "It was bad enough you used my money to apologize for her, but now you're here asking me to give her a job? Do you really love her that much? What do you take me for? What does she have that I don't?" I felt awkward. "No, it's not like that," I stammered. "I'm not trying to steal your role. The truth is, that movie is a train wreck. If you do it, it could seriously damage your career." "Oh, right," she said sarcastically. "The movie is a train wreck, so you want to give it to Scarlett and let her take the fall." I nodded in agreement, then realized how terrible that sounded. Diana's face was as black as thunder. "Frank, I may be a romantic, but I'm not an idiot," she snapped. "If you're going to lie to me, could you at least try to make it believable?" I felt too guilty to look her in the eye, but I had to see this through. "Diana, please, just trust me this one time. Once this mission is over, I swear I'll make it all up to you." She stared at me for a long time before finally giving in. "Fine, I'll give her the role." I didn't even have a second to feel relieved before Diana tackled me onto the sofa. She was pressed against me, so close I could feel the softness of her body. "But," she whispered, her lips near my ear, "if you want me to give up the role for her, it's going to cost you." Diana didn't become an A-lister on acting alone. Her face was a work of art. She was exquisitely beautiful, alluring without being vulgar. She could look like an angel one moment and a devil the next. I've been looking at that face for 10 years, but being this close still made my heart pound and my face flush. I instinctively closed my eyes, waiting, but nothing happened. "Wow, you're really willing to do anything for her, aren't you?" I opened my eyes. Diana's were filled with scorn. What the hell? Why was she mad now? I swear to God, I only closed my eyes because she's ridiculously beautiful, and I got flustered. I wanted to explain, but one look at Diana's furious expression told me to keep my mouth shut. But my silence only made her angrier. "Frank Miller, you see how upset I am, and you won't even tell a little lie to make me feel better," she seethed. "Ugh, man, 10 years of my devotion means nothing to you, but you'll happily be her doormat for 3. Her sudden mood swing gave me whiplash. Diana was living proof of the saying, "A woman's mind is a mystery." To stop her from completely losing it, I cautiously ventured, maybe you could ask me again?" Diana gave me an icy glare. A late confession is worth less than dirt. She adopted a dramatic pose. "I've been scaling fish at the market for 10 years. My heart is now as cold as my blade. Men only slow down my draw." Diana kicked me out that night. But, true to her word, Scarlett got a call from the director of Chronicles of Alicia the very next day. And of course, Scarlett immediately posted a gloating tweet. "My agent at Frank Miller is the best. And thanks to the lovely at Diana Hayes for looking out for me." Anyone could see the blatant provocation in her post. Unsurprisingly, it went viral. This time, however, the comments were unanimously against Scarlett. What is wrong with Hollywood these days? A little fame, and you think you can disrespect veterans? People like her should be kicked out of the industry. After so many provocations, even Diana's most laid-back fans had had enough. But the person I was most worried about was Diana herself. After all, I had already pushed my luck twice by asking her for favors for Scarlett, and she was furious with me. Now Scarlett was digging her own grave. If I went to Diana to defend her again, even Diana's massive crush on me wouldn't be enough to save me. But then, to my surprise, I saw a tweet from Diana defending Scarlett. "It's our job as veterans to support the next generation. A little confidence in a young artist is a good thing. I look forward to seeing you reach the top one day, at Scarlett Vance." I was stunned. A second later, an iMessage from her popped up on my phone. "Don't fall for me. I'm just a legend." Followed by another, "And don't read too much into it. You're a top agent. If your client is a total loser, it reflects badly on me, your boss." She even included a smug-looking emoji. I could practically see her forcing a smile through the screen. I typed and deleted several replies, but in the end, I couldn't think of anything to say that would make her feel better. Just then, my phone rang again. It was Scarlett. "Frank, you're incredible," she gushed. "I've hated that washed-up actress for so long. She always looked down on us new media stars just because she's been in a few movies. But look at her now, handing over her projects to me." Diana didn't look down on influencers. In fact, she admired the ones who worked hard. Scarlett was the exception. She was talentless, lazy, and constantly surrounded by scandal. Naturally, Diana couldn't stand her and had been publicly cold to her on several occasions. And Scarlett had held a grudge ever since. Now that she had the upper hand, she was gloating for all she was worth. I suppressed my disgust and forced a smirk. "Is that so? Well then, I wish you all the success in the world." I hung up and glanced at the calendar on my desk. 1 week until the Golden Globes. Perhaps emboldened by her recent wins, Scarlett became more and more reckless. She was constantly starting fights online, provoking older, respected actors who weren't in the spotlight as much anymore. These veterans were already legends, so Scarlett's antics just made her look like a clown. Plus, most of them were friends of mine, so they didn't bother to engage with her. Her fans, however, grew even more rabid, hyping her up everywhere. There was a real push to make her the next big thing in Hollywood. For a moment, Scarlett was the hottest name in town, and her tone, when she demanded things from me, grew more arrogant. "Don't think you're so special just because you're a super agent. Without me, you're nothing," she'd say. "I made you who you are. I don't need you. You need me." Got it. I didn't argue. I just smiled and handed over whatever she wanted. After all, pride comes before the fall. The higher she climbed, the more spectacular her crash would be. Just as the award ceremony was drawing near, I got a call from Diana. "You know that movie you set me up with? We wrap tomorrow. Can you come to the party?" I hesitated for a moment. She didn't know that I had written the screenplay 3 years ago, based on our story. I had planned to tell her how I felt after it was finished, but then the accident happened. The film, which should have been made 3 years ago, had been delayed until now. It was finishing ahead of schedule. "It's okay if you don't want to come." Diana's disappointed voice pulled me back to reality. "No, I'll be there," I said quickly. I had no idea what she was planning, but I've read enough romance novels to know how this goes. The more I messed up now, the more I'd have to grovel later to win her back. And even though she was a hopeless romantic, she could also hold a serious grudge. I was the actual screenwriter for the film, but we put my best friend's name on it, a world-renowned producer. So, even without any press or promotion, the wrap party was packed with A-list stars and famous directors. As soon as Diana got me to the party, she made an excuse and disappeared, telling me to wait for her on the second-floor terrace. Watching the crowd mingling below, I was happy for the peace and quiet. I was sitting there, enjoying the evening breeze and a glass of wine, when I heard a familiar, unwelcome voice behind me. It was Scarlett. What was she doing here? But then I remembered her ambition. Of course, she wouldn't miss a networking opportunity like this. I was about to go over and say hi just to get it over with when I heard someone next to her ask, "Scarlett, how did you get that agent, Frank Miller, to be so completely devoted to you? He's a super agent, the guy who discovered Diana Hayes." Her back was to me, so I couldn't see her face, but I could hear the dismissive smirk in her voice. "So, what if he's a super agent? He's just like every other pathetic guy who worships me. All I have to do is say a few sweet things, and he'll bring me whatever I want on a silver platter." "Yeah, I guess that's true," the other person said. "But Frank is pretty handsome, and he's rich and crazy about you. Have you ever thought about marrying him?" Scarlett laughed. "An old guy like him? Please. He's already getting on in years. In a few more, he'll be out of shape and smell like an old man. The thought makes me sick. He's fun to play with for now, but once I've used up all his connections, I'm kicking him to the curb." The two of them chatted on as if they were the only ones there, completely oblivious. Scarlett even started comparing me to the various young actors she'd slept with. I always knew she got around, but I thought her past relationships were consensual and she always paid them off handsomely when things ended. But what shocked me to my core was hearing her admit to sleeping with someone under 18. I fought to control my rage. "System," I demanded internally. "Are you absolutely sure about this? You want me to turn this person into a superstar?" For once, the system was silent. The system might not have had anything to say, but I did. If making her a star was the mission, I'd rather stay in a coma forever. But I didn't blow my cover. I sat there quietly, waiting to see what other horrible things she would admit to. If I was going to expose her for sleeping with a minor, I needed more evidence. Just then, a hand grabbed my arm. It was Diana. She pulled me through a series of turns and into a private room on the second floor. She looked at me, her eyes gleaming with triumph. "You heard all that, didn't you? That witch Scarlett is just using you. You know," she added, "a loyal, virtuous woman like me is a rare find these days." Looking at her, it all clicked into place. "You set this up. You wanted me to come here and hear that, didn't you? Diana didn't deny it. In fact, she looked proud. That snake tried to steal my man first. What's wrong with a little payback? Besides, I've never liked her. She's such a cheap flirt. I knew Diana couldn't stand Scarlett, but I never expected her to resort to such childish tricks. But I had already decided to defy the system. How could I possibly get involved with Diana now? When I didn't say anything, the smile vanished from Diana's face. Her expression turned dark and frightening. The corners of her eyes grew red, and she clenched her fists so tightly that her manicured nails broke the skin on her palms, drawing blood. Does that hurt? I asked softly, reaching for her hand. She snatched it away. My chest tightened, and for a second, it felt hard to breathe. Heartbreak, anger, helplessness. A storm of emotions swirled in Diana's eyes, and her voice trembled. What is it you see in that woman? Can't you tell she doesn't give a damn about you? Why are you letting her treat you like this? This movie, it's our story, isn't it? It's finished now. So where's your confession? She whispered. How could everything change in just 3 years? So, she had known all along. Diana's deep eyes bored into mine, looking so lost and vulnerable. You're the one who said you'd make me an A-list star, she said, her voice breaking. Well, I am one now, so why don't you want me anymore? I never would have guessed that this career-obsessed, seemingly carefree woman was actually a hopeless romantic. I opened my mouth to try and comfort her, but she cut me off. Don't. I don't want to hear any of it. Fine. You're the one who told me to shut up. I spent the next few days counting down the minutes, all while gathering evidence of Scarlett's crimes. I was just waiting for her to get up on that stage and accept her award, and then I was going to send her straight to prison. But as it turned out, Scarlett didn't even make it to the award ceremony. News broke that she had been sleeping with fans and was being funded by a rich benefactor. It all started when she was bragging in a private fan chat and let it slip that she'd slept with some of her followers. It was just for fun, she had written. Did those losers really think they had a chance with me? As it happened, one of the young men she'd slept with was in that chat, and he called her out. Instead of apologizing, that monster Scarlett actually encouraged her other fans in the group to attack him. Her followers, like a brainwashed cult, saw nothing wrong with her actions and immediately turned on the young man. What did our queen do wrong? It was consensual, they wrote. You should be grateful she even looked at you. It got worse. Her fans doxed him. They posted his home address, his school, his phone number, everything. He was relentlessly cyberbullied by Scarlett's fans and fell into a deep depression. His parents went to Scarlett and demanded a public apology. Even then, the situation could have been salvaged. All Scarlett had to do was offer a sincere apology, provide compensation, and tell her fans to back off. But of course, she saw nothing wrong with what she'd done. Not only did she refuse to apologize, she openly mocked the boy's parents. Then she posted about the encounter in her fan group, treating it like a funny story. That's when her fans took it to the next level. They organized in person and went to the parents' workplaces to harass them. He was just a kid who'd had a crush on a celebrity. Faced with the insane online harassment and overwhelming pressure, the boy took his own life. Even a most patient person has a breaking point. The boy's parents, devastated by the loss of their son, gathered all the evidence they had and prepared to go to the press. But Scarlett was a true monster. She hired thugs to go to their house and threaten them. They said if the parents went public, they would desecrate their son's grave so he could never rest in peace. In the end, Diana somehow heard about what was happening and arranged for the parents to be taken to a safe place. The story quickly spread online, and the public turned on Scarlett and her fans with a vengeance. When I heard the news, I was surprised it had come out this way, but not surprised that it had happened. With Scarlett's personality, a disaster like this was inevitable. I just didn't think it would happen so soon. The most surprising part, however, was that Diana was the one who had leaked the story. Just because I didn't return your feelings, you're going to ruin my mission? But to be fair, I completely understood why Diana did it. After I read through all the details of the case, I wanted to destroy Scarlett myself. Drugs, sleeping with fans, tax evasion. I couldn't believe that the sweet, innocent girl from 3 years ago, the one who was so full of hope, had been doing all these despicable things right under my nose, with the help of her team. As the scandal grew, Scarlett became desperate, unwilling to lose the fame and fortune that was almost hers. She showed up at my door in tears and immediately dropped to her knees. Frank, please, you have to help me. I looked at her without a shred of emotion. Help you? After what you've done, you want my help. If I were you, I'd be on my way to the police station to turn myself in. Maybe you'll get a lighter sentence. Scarlett panicked and grabbed onto my leg, refusing to let go. Frank, you're the only one who can help me. If you don't, my life is over. You love me, don't you? I know I've never said it, but you have to know how I feel about you. If you help me get through this, I'll marry you. How about that? She looked up at me, her eyes wide and pleading. I nearly gagged and took 2 steps back in disgust. I know how much you wanted me to win that Golden Globe, she pressed on. The ceremony is just a few days away. If we don't fix this, it's all over. I remained silent. What do you want me to do? I finally asked. Seeing me give in, Scarlett breathed a sigh of relief. This is all Diana's fault. If she just backs off, I can reach a settlement with the boy's parents. She paused, then added, Diana is so in love with you. If you go and ask her, she'll definitely agree. I had to hand it to her. Scarlett was a master manipulator. She wanted to use me to get Diana to back down. Then, the public backlash would fall entirely on Diana. With a little spin, Scarlett could easily destroy Diana's career, while she herself walked away with a Golden Globe, her future secure. I don't like to assume the worst in people, but I know what a superstar is worth to the industry. Once the dust settled, the boy and his parents would be forgotten, swept under the rug by powerful interests. And more innocent people would get hurt by Scarlett. Frank, what are you waiting for? She urged. I'm your creation. 3 years of your life's work. She was right. She was 3 years of my life's work. I was a top agent, and I would not allow my work to be tarnished like this. He smiled to her. All right, I'll help you. But first, you're going to tell me everything. Everything you've done for the past 3 years. Scarlett hesitated. This meant giving me complete control over her. Frank, what are you planning? She asked warily. I just smiled. Well, you should have behaved better, shouldn't you? I wasn't worried she'd refuse. Between her freedom and her career, I knew which one she'd choose. And sure enough, after a moment of internal debate, Scarlett told me everything. The more she talked, the more horrified I became. The system in my head started glitching. How is this possible? Warning. Mission parameters compromised. By the time she was done, I don't know how I found the self-control to let her walk out of my house alive. So you're still not giving up on her? Diana's voice was heavy with exhaustion when I answered her call. Did she send you to beg me? Frank, have you forgotten why you became an agent in the first place? You said you wanted to be the best agent in the business, to represent the best talent, Diana continued. Are you really going to throw all that away for someone like Scarlett? I was silent for a beat, then I snapped. You've known me for 10 years. How can you still not give me it all? Do you really think I'm blind enough to fall for a piece of trash like Scarlett? All that talent, and you've got the brain of a golden retriever. Diana was stunned into silence for a moment. Frank, what are you saying? She finally stammered. Isn't it obvious? I'm in love with you. Now that I'd let everything else go, the only thing I wanted was to leave no regrets. It might have been selfish, but I knew that if I ended up back in a coma without ever telling her, it would haunt her for the rest of her life. As for that piece of garbage Scarlett, I added, do whatever you want with her. Destroy her. And with that, I hung up before Diana could even respond. The day before the Golden Globes, Scarlett received a new pair of silver bracelets. Frank, you set me up? She screamed as they led her away. Even as she was being arrested, she still couldn't believe it was happening. Do you have any idea what you've done? You've destroyed an international superstar. Maybe, if she were still the sweet, ambitious girl she'd been 3 years ago, then with my help and the system's power, she really could have been. After all, what does it mean to be a superstar? It means being a role model, someone who inspires people. But she had become twisted and corrupt. All I could do now was hope she'd get the help she needed in prison. Maybe she could learn a trade like sewing. At least then she'd have a skill to fall back on when she got out. By sending her to prison, I had officially failed my mission. But I didn't regret it. Scarlett had shown me just how much damage a toxic celebrity could do. I might spend the rest of my life in a coma, but at least I hadn't betrayed my principles as an agent. With a final chime from the system, my world went black. As I drifted into unconsciousness, I thought I could hear the system arguing with a higher power it called the mainframe. When I opened my eyes again, I was in a bright white hospital room. The first thing I saw was Diana's face, etched with worry. Oh my God, honey, you're finally awake, she cried, throwing her arms around me. If you hadn't woken up, I was going to follow you. Same old Diana. Yep, my poised, distant A-list actress was definitely gone for good. It turned out my mission had failed, but not completely. Given my performance and my final choice to prioritize morality over the mission, the mainframe had decided to count it as a success. But the rules were the rules. To wake me up, the system had to sacrifice its own core energy, and it had now gone into a dormant state. Before it went dormant, it told me it hoped I would one day find and nurture a true superstar, someone who could be a real inspiration. And as a final reward, it shared all my memories of the mission with Diana. This conveniently allowed me to skip the whole groveling for forgiveness part of our relationship. Although, Knowing Diana, I probably wouldn't have had to grovel much anyway. To fulfill the system's final wish, and following the principle of if you want something done right, do it yourself, I, the super agent, decided to become an actor. But after almost losing me once, Diana became even clingier. She followed me everywhere. The internet trolls had a field day. "Wow, Diana, you're such a simp," they'd comment. And she'd reply, "You're just saying that because you're jealous you don't have a man like mine." Thanks to Diana's shameless promotion of our relationship, my acting career took off. Of course, for a long time, nobody knew my actual name. I was just Diana Hayes' husband. It drove me crazy, but Diana thought it was hilarious. Eventually, as my own career grew, I finally managed to shake the simp husband label. I started charities, did public service work, gave motivational speeches. I used my earnings to fund scholarships for underprivileged kids from places like Appalachia, helping them achieve their dreams. I try to be a good role model for my fans, using what little influence I had to show them that hard work and integrity are what really matter. I preached kindness and tolerance, so my Twitter comments were always a positive space. And Diana? As my career took off, she quietly stepped back from acting. She'd been retired for years now, happily playing the role of a stay-at-home wife. I asked her once if she regretted it. "I only became an actress to get your attention," she said. "Now that I've got you, why would I bother with all that hard work?" Yep, that woman was a hopeless romantic, and there was no curing her.